He had lacked the lodge provided by his host, and he had even gone into the kitchen to show his disciple how to cook. Word had spread through the pilgrimage tourist town that A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami was present, and Prabhupada had agreed to hold a darshan from 5 to 6 p.m. daily. The room had always been crowded at that hour, with 40 to 50 people, including Western hippies and seeker as well as Indian on pilgrimage or vacation. Although Srila Prabhupada's voice had been extremely faint, he had spoken with force, stressing Bhagavad Gita as it is. When an American hippie had questioned him skeptically, Prabhupada had replied, "You cannot understand because you are crazy." And when a lady had put forward materialistic welfare work as the highest good, Prabhupada had replied, "The compassion is as valuable as blowing on a boil to heal it." Only a few disciples were with Prabhupada in Rishikesh, and they had deemed it a wonderful tree. Not only had Prabhupada directed the cooking, but he had told stories while cooking. He, he had said that only a crazy man could not cook. And then he told a Bengali story, the story of a lazy man. To illustrate, there was a king who decided that all lazy men in his kingdom could come to the charity house and be fed. So many men came, all claiming, "I am a lazy man." The king then told his minister to set a fire to the charity house, and all but two men ran out of the burning building. One of the two said, "My back is becoming very hot from the fire," and the other advised, "Just turn over to the other side." The king then said, "These are actually lazy men. Feed them." But on the evening of May 15, Srila Prabhupada could neither sleep nor work at his dictation. The storm, a harbinger of the monsoon season, knocked out all electric power in Rishikesh. Since the fans were not running and the windows shuttered had to be closed because of the wind, the room became very hot. At 5 in the morning, Srila Prabhupada called for Tamal Krishna Goswami and said he was feeling weak. Tamal Krishna massaged Prabhupada for an hour. Even at dawn, the wind did not let up, and sand was blowing. The storm and power failure continued the next night. Tamal Krishna asked Prabhupada about the swelling in his hands and feet, and Prabhupada replied annoyed, why you are bothering? It is my body, and I am not disturbed." But then he added, "From the material point of view, it is not good. Please consider how everything may be turned over to the GBC, so that in my absence everything will go on. You may make a bill, and I will sign it." He was talking definitely about things that before he had only alluded to. Suddenly at the 1:30 a.m., Prabhupada rang his bell, and Tamal Krishna and Kirjor Gopinath responded from beneath. From beneath his mosquito net, he said, "As I was telling you, the symptoms are not good. I want to leave immediately for Vrindavan." If it was time for him to pass away, he said, then let it be in Vrindavan. Since he wanted to leave immediately, the devotees stayed up all night packing and preparing to leave. Train reservations were not available, however, so they decided to go by car. Srila Prabhupada rode in the back seat of the small ambassador, sometimes stretching out on the seat. Upendra sat at his feet on the floor, while Tamal Krishna sat in the front next to the Damodar Pandit, an experienced driver who drove fast but with utmost care. Often Damodar Pandit would glance into the rear view mirror and meet Srila Prabhupada's attentive gaze. At one point, when Prabhupada saw a man selling cucumbers, he asked Damodar to stop the car. Cucumbers, he said, were good for quenching thirst. After 4.5 hours, they reached Delhi and stopped at ISKCON center in Lajpat Nagar. It was very hot. The devotees watered down the roof and Srila Prabhupada requested there on a cot. By 5 the next morning, they were ready to set out for Vrindavan. At the Delhi temple, the devotees has given Prabhupada a large plate of the deity's prasadam, but he had only taken a few tastes. Eating is finished. He had said, I prayed to Krishna to be freed from eating and sleeping, and it is happening. I have already given up mating and defending. Now all these material activities are finished with. As they drove out of the city and into the countryside, Amal Krishna noticed that Srila Prabhupada seems more peaceful. You look very happy to be going to Vrindavan, said Tamal Krishna. Yes, Prabhupada replied. Vrindavan is my home and Bombay is my office. As they turned off the Delhi Agra road, Srila Prabhupada saw for the first time the stone marker, Bhakti Vedanta Swami Marg. They soon met up with the Gunarnav, who was waiting on a motorcycle, and two joyfully sped ahead to tell the devotees at the Krishna Balaram Mandir that Srila Prabhupada was there. At that gate of the temple, a big Kirtan party, including all the Gurukula children, was gathered to greet Prabhupada with chanting and dancing. Four devotees carried Prabhupada on a palanquin to the temple hall, where he offered his respects to the two lords, Krishna and Balaram. After the Aarti ceremony honoring Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada spoke briefly to the assembled devotees. If death takes place, he said, let it take place here. Seeing his demeanor and hearing him speak these unexpected words, some of the devotees in the room began to cry. So he continued, there is nothing to be said new. Whatever I have said, whatever I have to say, I have spoken in my books. Now try to understand it and continue your endeavor. Whether I am present or not present, it doesn't matter. As Krishna is living eternally, similarly the living being also lives eternally. But Kirti Yasya Jivati, one who has done service to the Lord lives forever. So you have been taught to serve Krishna. So with Krishna, our life is eternal. The temporary disappearance of this body, it doesn't matter. The body is meant for disappearance. So live forever by serving Krishna. Despite the finality of these words, Srila Prabhupada continued to converse in his room with a few guests who remained after most of the devotees had left. A retired family man, a Mr. Bose, was present and told Prabhupada how he was now living alone in Krishna Balaram Mandir. Prabhupada said, you will not be able to adjust to this way of life. But when Mr. Bose expressed his determination, Prabhupada added, you have a very good family, so it is hopeful. Srila Prabhupada went on a recall some of his activities at Rishikesh, and he spoke of how his movement was growing stronger around the world, and now in New York, the judge had made a very favorable decision. A little later, the conversation turned to ghosts, and Prabhupada told about the haunted house in Loknath Mulik in Calcutta. Prabhupada had also rented a ghost house in Lucknow. I am not afraid of ghosts, he said. I am a ghost proof. In England, there are also many ghosts. They are generally evil and sometimes they even kill. They can be seen sometimes entering a latrine or sitting on a pillar. By offering pinda, one can free his forefathers from ghostly bodies. In Mayapur, there were Mohammedan ghosts, but not anymore. By our chanting Hare Krishna, ghosts are driven away. Prabhupada began a routine. In the morning, he would ride in the car at least a short distance down Bhaktivedanta Swami Marg. Although even riding was difficult for him, the morning air would be fresh and cool compared to the heat of the day, and the road lined with him and the road lined with neem trees and shrubs was pleasant. Each morning he would come back and faithfully, lovingly behold Krishna and Balaram. Then he would sit or rest in his main room and later move upstairs, where a desk and a chair as well as bed were set up on the outdoor veranda of his house. Here also the devotees had thrown water on the floors for cooling. His main room downstairs had an air cooler. Srila Prabhupada was still prone to become involved in management, and he asked his secretary to report to him on the various ISKCON activities. You became my eyes, he said, but to think that the Bombay project was not yet completed disturbed him very much. I have worked so far to get done whatever is accomplished, he told Tamal Krishna. Now if the DPs are not properly installed in my presence, it will be a great shock. But ISKCON's management was too much moderation, and Prabhupada told Tamal Krishna, you must give me complete relief from management. Tamal Krishna mentioned that Prabhupada would sometimes become upset if he was not informed about ISKCON management. But Prabhupada said better not to inform him. Now take it that I am dead, he said. Tamal Krishna took this remark to mean that the leaders of ISKCON should manage all problems just as if Prabhupada were no longer present. They should relieve him so he would be free to think of Krishna and Balaram. And Prabhupada confirmed that this was the right idea. Give me that chance, he said. After one day in Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada wrote, I was staying in Rishikesh hoping to improve my health, but instead I have become a little weaker. Now I have come back to my home, Vrindavan. If anything should go wrong, at least I will be there in Vrindavan. At least I will be here in Vrindavan. Srila Prabhupada called for Tamal Krishna Goswami. There are two things, he said, trying to survive and to prepare for death. It is better to plan for the worst. Arrange to always have 3 or 4 men with me. Have kirtan and read Bhagavatam all the time. Now I am trying to take little food. Parikshit Maharaj would not even take water. Seeing Srila Prabhupada's mood, Tamal Krishna mentioned the need for all a will, and Prabhupada agreed. A will, he said, was simple enough. Whatever he spoke, several men could sign as witness. He recalled how his spiritual master, just before a hernia operation, had made a very simple will on a scrap of a paper. Although he never underwent that operation, years later the same will was presented in court and was accepted as evidence against the plots of some of the disciples. He was the original founder, said Prabhupada, so whatever he wills, that is accepted. When Tamal Krishna asked why Prabhupada's Guru Maharaj had not undergone the operation, Prabhupada replied, everyone has their sentiment. He thought that the doctor was paid to kill him. Yes, said Tamal Krishna, because sometimes people were actually paid off to kill him. Actually, Srila Prabhupada, you and your Guru Maharaj were the greatest enemies of modern civilization in this country, in this century. Srila Prabhupada explained, this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission, Bharat Bhumi Ke Haile. This is India's culture. The whole world is in darkness and they are risking their life in the transmigration of one body to another. He does not know that he is eternal and that in a few years this fragment is passing away. This life is just a passing flesh. This is Vaishnava's concern. What these rascals are doing, they are jumping like monkeys, wasting time. That is Vaishnava's compassion. Paradukha Dukhi. When some other devotees gathered in Srila Prabhupada's room, Tamal Krishna explained Prabhupada's recent decision. So Srila Prabhupada has decided that the best medicine would be Srimad Bhagavatam and Kirtan, and no need of any doctors who have promised to help save the life. We should not bring them, and no outsiders. No medicine for the body, asked a devotee. Oh, whatever medicine I am taking, said Srila Prabhupada, Yogendra Das. Yogendra Das. He has tried so many medicines. Kamal Krishna said, every doctor has come and they have each given their medicine and he has tried them. This medicine always works, Srimad Bhagavatam and Kirtan. Bhava Sadhak Shotra Mano Bhiramat quoted Srila Prabhupada. He had been quoting it again and again. It pleases the ears and the mind. Bhava Sadhak Shotra Mano Bhiramat Ka Uttama Shloka Gunanu Vadat. Make glorification of Bhagwan and everyone will appreciate it except the animal. At Srila Prabhupada's request, Kirtan by a group of no more than 4 or 5 devotees will and Bhagavatam reading went on constantly, whether he was in his room or the veranda or on the roof. In the morning from 5 to 10 and in the evening from 3 to 9, he would sit with his eyes closed, absorbed in the Kirtan, the medicine for the disease of material existence, which gives pleasure to the mind and ear. Tamal Krishna promised to Prabhupada he would read him no letter and bring him no visitors. Prabhupada had long wanted this, and now it at least would come to pass. The writing of the will would not be done with the attitude that the end had come, but in the spirit of preparing for the worst. It also meant finishing things so they would not have to be done at the last minute. Prabhupada was concerned that this movement continues securely with all its own properties in the possession of his disciples within the institution of all his instruction made clear for the future. These matters should be dispatched now in a will, and the GBC man should gather in Vrindavan to make these last arrangements and to be with him. Once these things were settled, Prabhupada would be free to continue writing his books with no worries. Tamal Krishna later asked Sri Prabhupada whether his new decisions indicated that he was losing his desire to fight to live. Well, decision indicated that he was losing his desire to fight to live. Srila Prabhupada indirectly admitted it was so. Therefore, he said, I do not wish to leave Vrindavan. If by Krishna's desire I survive, then we will see later on. Otherwise, even though his secretary did not read him letters to bring him news, Prabhupada went on thinking. What about the Radha Damodar temple? He asked. He had been renting his room there for years. And the temple's proprietors have been often challenged his rights.
More pages, reading
I have read Maharaj 7 pages.
more pages.
How many more pages are left?
To reach to that where we were reading Maharaj, almost 54 pages.
Just skip. Read 3 lines in the top and read fast.
Read 3-4 lines in the top and just read fast. Skip.
The room was fully decorated with the rose and jasmine garland. The Kirtan party was singing sweetly and softly. Sri Prabhupada would go for hours without speaking. The parts of Prabhupada's daily schedule that remained the same as before were his rising in the middle of the night and translate Srimad Bhagavatam. Tamal Krishna read Prabhupada's letter from Giriraj, more like loving prayer than a letter. Giriraj had quoted a verse by Prahlad Maharaj from Srimad Bhagavatam. My dear Lord, O Supreme Person.
Go to the next page.
That same evening, Srila Prabhupada set up to receive a member of parliament, Sri Sitaram Singh. Srila Prabhupada was unlimitedly willing to speak about Krishna and help give Krishna consciousness to others. The word was sent to all GBC secretaries worldwide. Srila Prabhupada might depart very soon and he wanted them to be with him in Vrindavan. Tamal Krishna Goswami confided to his god brothers that his own feelings were mixed. It was a time to sorrow. And yet Srila Prabhupada seemed relieved now that he had decided not to struggle to survive.
We didn't expect.
Srila Prabhupada would alternatively sit up in the bedroom and lie down while hearing Kirtan and Srimad Bhagavatam. Dropping his reassured stance and pleading as the helpless student, Bhavanand asked, "What can we do, Srila Prabhupada? You can pray."
All done. These are left.
That is a fact, said Prabhupada. Asmordhava. There cannot be anyone equal to God or greater than him. Many young men, both Hindu and Mohammedan, will join, said Jayapataka Swami. Yes, said Prabhupada. Be doubly blessed. At these words, and devotees laughed happily. Srila Prabhupada then turned to Kirtananand Swami, so the new Vrindavan is developing. Be happy. Rameshwar Swami described, for Srila Prabhupada's pleasure, the great volume of Krishna's consciousness literature being distributed. At the end of this year, he said we will have to sold at least 65 million books on Krishna. When Adi Keshav Swami came in, Prabhupada became, he heard with a great pleasure Adi Keshav's report on the impact of the New York court decision on Indians around the world. When Swarup Damodar arrived, he showed Prabhupada the manuscript for 3 pamphlets proving scientifically and mathematically that Krishna consciousness is the absolute truth. Sometimes during the chanting, Srila Prabhupada would communicate unspoken feelings with his disciple. Shastra teaches that because of the disciple bad behavior or to allow some personal service or to exhibit ecstatic symptoms, the spiritual master may display bad health, although he so kindly says it is simply due to old age. Either way, Shastri Prabhupada, I have no objection to stay or leave. He said there was a Bengali saying that if a dhinki, a white threshing machine, goes to heaven, what will it do there? Tamal Krishna Goswami said, Prabhupada, that he had offered a prayer in the temple that morning while standing before Krishna and Balram. A selected committee from the GBC came before Srila Prabhupada as it sat up in the bed, in the main room downstairs. Yes, said Prabhupada, I shall recommend some of you after this is settled up. I shall recommend some of you to act as officiating Acharya. Tamal Krishna interjected, is that called Ritvik Acharya? Therefore, Srila Prabhupada said, Kirtananand Swami, we think that you cannot leave us very soon. I don't want to, Srila Prabhupada, said Prabhupada, but I am obliged. What can I do? Srila Prabhupada had already given the outline for his will to Tamal Krishna Goswami. The GBC would be the ultimate governing authority in his call. While the GBC men discussed privately the details of the will, Srila Prabhupada lay in bed anxiously concerned about ISKCON's properties. He did not attempt to eat and Upendra had to massage his chest. All my child, said Prabhupada, a statement of love but not of relief, and it requires a very strong man. A few days later, the final version of the declaration of will was notarized in the presence of lawyer. The document began, the governing body commission will be the ultimate managing authority. In the first days of June, Srila Prabhupada experienced some hope of recovery. He asked to resume his morning rites, and when being brought down to the car, he said, soon I will get down and walk myself. Although Prabhupada's body was apparently sick, he was still as alert as ever, and every morning he would notice who was there and who was not. One of the devotees present had just come down from West Bengal, where he had been traveling on a boat down to the Ganges, preaching and distributing prasadam in the villages. An article entitled Srila Prabhupada Seriously Ill appeared on the front page of the Times of India. On hearing the article, Srila Prabhupada commented, "Unless they think Bhaktivedanta Swami is important, they would not print this." Prabhupada's mood moved and varied within the realm of transcendental emotion and attitude. To some of the disciples attending him, he said, "I am thinking I am a worthless person taking so much service." After the GBC assembly in Vrindavan, Sarup Damodar had travelled to Manipur and Kolkata and was now returning to Vrindavan to see Srila Prabhupada. As soon as Prabhupada heard, Srila Prabhupada treated him very specially and gave him much time and attention. Srila Prabhupada was well aware of the powerful sway science held over people everywhere, and he was out of the calm their godless propaganda. Sarup Damodar was arranging for a conference of the scientists in Vrindavan to discuss the origin of life. He was speaking the Bhagavatam, answered Tamal Krishna. "Yes," said Prabhupada, "you are simply thinking drums and kratalas is kirtan, but anything we do here is kirtan." The devotees working closely with Srila Prabhupada did not think he was deteriorating. No matter how he appeared, he was just giving them another opportunity to serve. But one day, while sitting in the garden with Tamal Krishna, Sarup Damodar and others, Srila Prabhupada became very disturbed when he detected a mistake in one of his already printed books. Srila Prabhupada was especially pleased by letters he received from Ghanshyam, who was distributing books in the communist countries of Eastern Europe. By June 1977, the Gurukula building in Vrindavan was near completion, and the devotees managing the Gurukul were contemplating opening the building in the near future. "That's nice," said Prabhupada, "but because we have got a big enough place now, we should not think I shall keep one leg in one place and one leg in another place, and then the whole thing is mismanaged. Don't do that. Don't misuse even 1 inch." After touring the Gurukula facility, Prabhupada had the devotees place his chair down once more before returning to his own room. July brought the rainy season to Vrindavan. Clouds began building from the beginning of the morning, and by the mid-July it would be raining daily. One of the topics which Srila Prabhupada dealt with during these days was the conception of a model universe for a Vedic planetarium. In early July, some of the devotees in Vrindavan were working on the sketches of the universe according to the Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada gave the example of how, after returning from Vaikuntha, Narad Muni had told a simple cobbler that Lord Narayan was passing an elephant through the eye of a needle. Suddenly, a large peacock alighted nearby and spread his gorgeous purple, blue, and green feathers, as if posing for the pleasure of the devotees. July 10. Tamal Krishna received a phone call from Gopal Krishna. The Mayapur temple had been attacked by a gang of 300 dacoits, hoodlums. 5 devotees were wounded, and in the hospital, Bhavanand Goswami had fired a shotgun at the attackers, injuring 2. The police, who did not arrive until 2 hours after being called, had arrested Bhavanand and put him in jail. Srila Prabhupada became disturbed. If the dacoits attacked and we used our shotgun, he said, "What is wrong?" Within a few days, a letter came from Gopal Krishna giving the facts of the Mayapur incident. About 50 Muslim men were stealing probes from the ISKCON land. When Nitai Chand tried to stop him, they attacked him, cutting his head in 3 places. Later, while he was being treated in the temple infirmary, the man came and beat Nitai Chand and stripped one of the ladies naked. Meanwhile, another 250 men attacked, breaking the gates, cutting phone and electric wires, and destroying the water pumps. Wanting to scare the mob, Bhavanand had fired a shot in the air, but when they did not disperse, he fired another shot, injuring 2 men. What can you reply? Said Srila Prabhupada, if they conclude something like that. What can you reply? Said Srila Prabhupada, if they conclude something like that. They have no idea of spiritual life. As Prabhupada spoke of Mayapur devotees who had been willing to sacrifice their life for Krishna, he became choked with emotion and began to cry. Krishna will give them protection, he said, all Mayapur men. He mentioned how Haridas Thakur had also been put in jail and beaten, and how Prahlad Maharaj had been tortured until Lord Narasimha had appeared. On the whole, the report was optimistic. Prasadam distribution was continuing in Mayapur. Book distribution in West Bengal was increasing. Sometimes sitting in the pre-dawn open air on the second floor veranda, and sometimes in the humid heat of bright afternoon, Srila Prabhupada worked, describing the limitless Vedic knowledge, just as his predecessor, the Goswamis and Krishnadas Kaviraj has done when worshipping Krishna and Lord Chaitanya. Srila Prabhupada was now rendering particularly sweet part of Krishna's pastime, and with relish he described Krishna stealing butter and feeding it to monkeys. Srila Prabhupada was concerned what he wrote to be published and distributed. It was his service to his Guru Maharaj, and he received a great satisfaction in hearing that book distribution was still expanding all over the world. Rishikesh Swami, the GBC of Northern and Eastern Europe, reported that he was creating a very large quantity of books in certain languages. Tamal Krishna replied, Tamal Krishna replied that for that very reason he had suggested to Abhiram that he make his business in Bombay. Actually, said Tamal Krishna, I find the Grastas have no desire to live independent of temple. He explained that in the Bombay temple, the Grastas could get apartment near enough to the temple so that they could attend the Mangal Aarti and other functions. Srila Prabhupada said he wanted ideal Krishna conscious Grastas, just like Bhakti Vinod Thakur. He said there are so many. Yes, said Prabhupada, or else where is the preaching? It would be like Alexander the Great. He was conquering, but as soon as he went to conquer the new place, the last place was lost. Tamal Krishna inquired, does not Radharani also pray like that to Krishna? Yes, said Prabhupada. Radharani says, I am not sincere. Here is your real servant, that is Mahabhav. Krishna becomes servant of his servant. Therefore a disciple's first duty is to be submissive to his Guru. Tamal Krishna had been acting as Srila Prabhupada's personal secretary for 6 continuous months, and he had become Prabhupada's eyes and ears and his spokesman, especially in dealing with ISKCON's management. Tamal Krishna persisted. Maharaj, this is the page from where today's reading. Shall I read continuously? Tamal Krishna persisted to his affectionate line. However, insisting that Srila Prabhupada could not think of leaving, there was too much unfinished business for Prabhupada in this world, such as personally seeing on the installation of the deities of Radha, Das Vihari in Bombay temple. Srila Prabhupada admitted it was so, and I read another. I already read these. The Prabhupada said that they should consult astrologer to see whether it was auspicious for him to travel and whether he would be cured and how long he would live. After a day had passed, the Prabhupada considered the travel proposal more seriously and mentioned some of its defects. He said whatever he went, his physical condition would go with him. On the last day of the July, the governor of Tamil Nadu, when I'm in Vrindavan, said Prabhupada, it is transcendental that much mercy Krishna has shown me, and whatever there is our center, that is also Vaikuntha, New York, or Los Angeles, or Paris, London. Tamal Krishna offered an itinerary, a visit to London, staying at Bhaktivedanta Manor, and also seeing Radha Landaneshwar, then to New York and seeing the devotees in the ISKCON, skyscraper with Radha Govinda, then to the farm in Pennsylvania and also Los Angeles, where he could see the new dioramas of Krishna's pastime. To remain in Vrindavan is a sentiment, Srila Prabhupada agreed. In New York, if I die, you will have to be entomb me to the roof, to joke grimly. There is no other room. If I die, as long as I die among you, you are all Vaikuntha men. I had a dream that Vaikuntha men came to take me. They were all white men with a shaven head. Your countrymen cannot believe how you have changed. The Prabhupada said that they should consult astrologer to see whether it was auspicious for him to travel and whether he would be cured and how long he would live. I was born in the evening at 4 p.m. and said Srila Prabhupada, it was Nandotsav. You can consult an old Panjika to see the day. It was a Tuesday. I am prepared to go to the west. Tamal Krishna then quoted from the Bhagavad Gita chapter 2 verse 37, where Krishna tells Arjuna to fight. Either you will die and achieve the heavenly planets of Kamsa and enjoy the earthly pleasure. Srila Prabhupada said the verse was appropriate. Throughout the night and the next day, the considered traveling proposal and mentioned to his other servants, Tamal Krishna is arranging a big party. I was praying to Krishna, what is this? Know that. Prabhupada told Tamal Krishna. Then he quoted that verse. At least my disciple will know I came at a risk of my life. They are the future hope. I must enthuse them. Krishna ordered Arjuna and I am Arjuna's servant. I am not so limited to think that this is my country. Everything is Krishna's. Why should I limit Krishna? Tamal Krishna gave encouragement. When you get there, with so many devotees who are giving their lives for spreading Krishna consciousness and assisting you, it will really be enthusing. And you won't have to speak so much. It's your presence. You're seeing the devotees and then seeing you. So in that sense, it won't be exhausting. It's a good climate now to August. It's a good climate now to August in London. It's a very good time. Prabhupada turned to Upendra and said,
चप्पल दोनों को लगा देंगे सबके सामने चप्पल दो को लगाना है माला सब पहना भोला का दिवस जो थोड़ा माला जब लगाते हैं उसके बाद थोड़ा सा ठीक कर लेते हैं अपने हिसाब से तेल को लगा के
ये क्राउन डाल दे, क्राउन नहीं करना। ये मेरे को मेरा है। कौन सा चीज को
बराबर है इसके ऊपर ये तो ये बड़ा वाला सब इससे बड़ा है।
ये इधर का, ये इधर का होगा,
जगन्नाथ जी का मोटा वाला है
ये इसका होगा। ये वो शिला हर रोज एक ही स्थान पे लगाते हैं। कौन सी चीज़ें कहाँ पे जाती है मुझे पता नहीं है।
ये इसमें अंदर वाला है।
ऐसे मुझे कैसे बताने लगे ये चीज़ देखनी चाहिए, ये चीज़ देखनी चाहिए।
ऐसे ही लगता है
हाँ आप तो पता है कि बरसों बरसों से कर रहे हो, हमें कैसे पता चलेगा ये चीज़ याद आती है। अलग बोलेंगे,
हम महाराज खुद भी कर देते हैं।
मैं फोटो निकाल देता हूँ।
नहीं तो बराबर का लगाने से कोई दिक्कत नहीं है। बराबर लगा दीजिए, ठीक से आ रहा है।
ऐसे लगे तो ठीक है ना, ऐसे लगेंगे ना।
ऐसे ही ये छोटा छोटा इसमें
ढंग की चीज़ है ये। तो तो क्राउन
कौन सा वो लगा चेन लगा दिया ना।
हाँ
हाँ इसको नहीं धोते हैं,
नहीं
इसको नहीं, ये खराब हो जाएगा आदमी का।
अच्छा
कपड़े से पूछ लीजिए।
गिरिराज
गिरिराज जी का बहुत प्रिय है, ये आपका है ना।
हाँ
ये लो। इसको धोएंगे तो खराब हो जाएगा जल्दी।
अच्छा कपड़े से धोते हैं।
कपड़े से
साफ
पूछ
कर
लीजिए। गिरिराज का बांसुरी कृष्ण का।
नहीं कर दे।
ये छोड़ो इसमें, इसमें आ जाएगा। जाएगा उसे ऊपर रखेंगे एक मिनट। और रखिए। पोछा ले लीजिए, पोछा।
किधर है?
किचन में।
Witness. चेयर बाहर जाएगी यहीं रहेगी
क्या वो
चेयर यहीं पे रहेगी
फिर बाहर जाएगा फिर यहीं बनेगा
हो गया इधर आ जाइए थोड़ा जल्दी
अब just ऐसे
बात करो पूछिए
वो भी मत चलिए
अच्छा चलिए
ना एक साइड आ जाइए आप एक जगह खड़े रहिए किचन में आप लोग ये माला इस समय आपको उनको बता देता
पुराने ही लोग तुम्हारा तो नहीं लगा दो मैं लगा
बड़ा
ठीक है ना
आज एकादशी है ना शादी की है ना
पुराना है
इधर आके दर्शन कीजिए
कैसे बजे अभी आए नहीं मैं तो सुबह से
अच्छा
सेंटिंग के लिए
लेक्चर है
जी गुरु लेक्चर है
हाँ
कितना
आप
अच्छा
आप रहे ना
मैं हमें कुछ घर जाना था अच्छा मैं देखती हूँ जगह बहुत से देखूँ तो भी कर रहा हूँ
आप शायद
उनके बाहर बहुत उनको बहुत से ऐसी
मूवमेंट
जो है उनसे उनको आते हैं बहुत टायर है बहुत ज़्यादा
उसका मेडिसिन
हाँ वही सब कर रहा है
वहाँ पर मैं उसको समझा रहा था वहाँ पर लेक्चर देखे से नहीं देखे इस मेडिसिन मारा गया
हाँ मुझे
एक मिनट रहेगा
तो दो भाई जाने तो समझ नहीं
मेरी तो वहाँ से वायरलेस में उससे तो साथ में जा रहा है वहाँ से ले सकते हैं
वायरलेस में
वहाँ
मैं देखते हैं इसमें ऑर्डर कर देता हूँ मैंने मेरा उसकी पहले ऑर्डर कर दी थी कल जो वो ना मैंने बस पर कुछ काम कर दिया तो आज आ जाएगी घर पे तो 2-3 दिन और ऑर्डर करने का देखता हूँ कि वो आ जाते हैं मैं बस में
हम अभी नहीं है
यहाँ से यहाँ पर कहीं 2 मन में जाए ना जो
ड्यूटी उससे पूछता हूँ कौन सा मुझे देख के दे रहा है। एक मुंबई से नहीं दे
अच्छा
नया अड्डा है ये स्पेशल ये नया है
कंपनी में आपको
देखिए मैं तो पसंद कंपनी बताता हूँ
अरे बताइए क्यों मेरी से
अभी कहाँ पर कौन सा डांस कर रहा है?
तुलसी डालिए तुलसी
सब में नहीं रखना, सब में। और तो नहीं डालेगा।
कल तो पानी में डालिए कल पानी में डालिए
वहाँ पर कौन सा है?
एक को छोड़ दीजिएगा
एक कोई भी। अंदर कोई
ढक्कन दोनों का है इसका है
चलिए ठीक है। यहाँ पे कौन है? सफाई दो।
सबके लिए
एक ही है।
हाँ तो उसे इधर रख देगा 3 मशीन है
यहाँ पे पानी है। कोई प्रश्न है? इन सबको
वो लग तो गया हो गया ये इतना सिलाई सबको एक एक देंगे तो फिर हाँ एक 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 रख सकते हैं परेशानी नहीं। रख लेते हैं गवर्नमेंट है मशीन दे यहाँ भी रख देंगे सब सब चलते हैं जरा भी तो करते हैं भैया।
का मतलब कैसे मतलब पहले
तो बड़ा से तो लेते हैं। के बाद भूल जाते हैं किसी नाम रहना नहीं है। राज कृष्ण राम जगन्नाथ देव
the offering works on you. The first, and the offer to the all days.
लीजिए ऑनलाइन आरती लीजिए। हरे कृष्णा।
Offering over here. To the reference over here. Not over here. Use your broken one. The Krishna love now.